Shabbat Shalom, my friends. It is that time of the week again. I really wish I could make more time to read this twice a week to you guys, and more for myself as well. Before I get started, I would like to just say and bring something to everyone's attention that my friend from the Camby Preps channel, the channel was deleted and nobody seems to know why or be able to get in contact with her. So if you guys would say a little prayer about that situation, I would appreciate it. Anyway, on a better note, I suppose, I am going to start this where I typically do, by reading the Shema found in Deuteronomy chapter 6, starting at verse 4. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our Elohim, Yahweh is one. And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all of your heart, with all of your being, and with all of your might. I do like reading that. I like saying it too. It's a great reminder. And just before I get started here, I had gotten a Christmas card in the mail in my P.O. box, and it came with this nice little bookmark. If you guys can read that there. Hopefully I had it right side up. Hopefully. And I will be using it from now on. Thank you to the person who sent it to me. I appreciate that. I did need it. I did. This book has the scriptures I'm reading from has the little ribbons in it, but I'm using the ribbons to keep my place, and I was using a band-aid to keep the place of where I read to the video. And then I have another bookmark that I was using for the Shema, which I do have it memorized. I don't know why I still keep it bookmarked and read it, but I guess just to make sure I get it right. Anyway, we left off at chapter 31. We had just finished chapter 30. We were talking about Jacob and leaving his father-in-law / cousin, uncle, whatever he guy was, leaving his house with all the flocks and his wives, all the multitude of wives that he had acquired while he was there. Yeah, so we'll just leave that right there, and I'll be starting at chapter 31 today. Hopefully my reading skills are getting better with these things, because I don't think so, but I'm told they are. I'm told that. So I have a little bit of pain in a tooth over here, so yeah, ouch. Pray for that too, if you would. Alright. It's pretty late where I'm at. I'm drinking water. No more coffee today. But starting at chapter 31. And he heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and from what belonged to our father he has made his wealth. And Jacob would look at the face of Laban and see that it was not toward him as before. And Yahweh said to Jacob, Return to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I am with you. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field to his flock, and said to them, I see your father's face, that it is not toward me as before, but the Elohim of my father has been with me, and you know that I have served your father with all my strength. Yet your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but Elohim did not allow him to do evil to me. And when he said this, the speckled are your wages. Then all the flocks bore speckled. And when he said this, the streaked are your wages. Then all the flocks bore streaked. So Elohim has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. And it came to be at the time when the flocks conceived that I lifted my eyes and looked in a dream, and saw that the rams which leapt upon the flocks were streaked and speckled and molted. And the messenger of Elohim spoke to me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Lift your eyes now and see, all the rams which leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, and molted, for I have seen that all that Laban is doing to you. I am the El of Bethiel, where you anointed the standing column, and where you made a vow to me. Now rise up, get out of this land, and return to the land of your relatives. I'll move this out of the way. 14. And Rachel and Leah answered upon him, Do we still have any portion of inheritance in our father's house? Are we not reckoned by him as strangers? For he has sold us, and also entirely consumed our silver. For all the wealth which Elohim has taken from our father is ours and our children's. Now then, do whatever Elohim has told you. So Jacob rose and put his sons and his wives on camels. And he drove off all his livestock, all his possessions which he had acquired, his property of the livestock which he had acquired in Padan Aram, and go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. Yeah. And when Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole the house idols that were her father's. Shame, shame. And Jacob deceived Laban in Amorim, because he did not inform him that he was about to flee. And he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river and headed toward the mountains of Gilad. It's Gilad, glad, I guess. And on the third day Laban was told that Jacob had fled. And he took his brothers with him and pursued him for 7 days. 7 days' journey, and he overtook him in the mountains of Gilad. Yeah, that's probably it. But in a dream by night, Elohim came to Laban in the Amorim and said to him, Guard yourself, that you do not speak to Jacob either good or evil. Then Laban overtook Jacob, and Jacob had pitched his tent in the mountains, and Laban with his brothers pitched in the mountains of Gilad. And Laban said to Jacob, What have you done, that you have deceived me, and driven my daughters off like captives taken with the sword? Why did you flee secretly and deceive me, and not inform me that I would have sent you away with joy and songs, with tambourine and lyre? Lyre, L-Y-R-E. And you did not allow me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Now you have been foolish to do this. So it is in the power of my hand to do evil to you. But the Elohim of your father spoke to me last night, saying, Guard yourself that you do not speak to Jacob either good or evil. Now you have gone because you greatly long for your father's house. But why did you steal my mighty ones? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Lest you tear your daughters away from me. With whoever you find, your mighty ones, do not let them live in the presence of our brothers. See for yourself what is with me, and take it with you. For Jacob did not know Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went to Jacob's tent, into Leah's tent, and into the tents of the 2 female servants, but he did not find them. And he came out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the house idols and put them in the camel's saddle and sat on them. And Laban searched all about the tent but did not find them. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my master that I am unable to rise before you, for the way of women is with me. And he searched but did not find the house idols. And Jacob was wroth with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my transgression? Why is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? Now that you have searched all of my goods, what have you found of all of your household goods? Set it here before my brothers and your brothers, and let them decide between the 2 of us. These 20 years I have been with you, your ewes, and your female goats have not miscarried their young, and I have not eaten the rams of your sheep, that which was torn by beast. I did not bring to you, I myself bore the loss of it. You required it from my hand, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was. By day the heat consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sheep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you have changed my wages 10 times. Unless the Elohim of my father, the Elohim of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac has been with me, you would have now sent me away empty-handed. Elohim has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rendered judgment last night. And Laban answered and said to Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and this flock is my flock, and all that you see is mine. But what I shall do today to these my daughters, or to the children who they have borne. Sounds like he's picking a fight. And now, come, let us make a covenant, you and I. It shall be written between you and me. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a standing column. And Jacob said to his brothers, Gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there on the heap. And Laban called Yagar Sedutha, but Jacob called it Galad. And Laban said, This heap is a witness between you and me today, that this is why my name is called Galad. And Mitzvah, because he said, Yahweh, watch between you and me when we are out of each other's sight. If you afflict my daughters, or if you take other wives besides my daughters, although no man is with us, see, Elohim is witness between you and me. And Laban said to Jacob, See this heap and this standing column which I have placed between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this standing column is a witness. And I do not pass beyond this heap to you, and you do not pass beyond this heap and this standing column to me for evil. And the Elohim of Abraham and the Elohim of Noah and the Elohim of their father rightly ruled between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac, and Jacob slaughtered a slaughtering on the mountain, and called his brothers to eat bread. And they ate bread, and spent the night on the mountain. And Laban rose up early in the morning, kissed his sons and daughters, and blessed them. And Laban left and returned to his place. Water. Continuing with 32. And Jacob went on his way, and the messengers of Elohim met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, This is the camp of Elohim. And he called the name of that place Manaamarim, I guess. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, in the field of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, Say this to my master Esau, Your servant Jacob said this, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there until now. And I have bulls and donkeys, flocks and male and female servants. And I have sent to inform my master to find favor in your eyes. So the messenger returned to Jacob, saying, We came to your brother Esau, and he is also coming to meet you, and 400 men with him. And Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed. So he divided the people that were with him, and the flocks and the herds and the camels, into 2 groups. And he said, If Esau comes to one group and strikes it, then the other group which is left shall escape. And Jacob said, O Elohim of my father Abraham, and Elohim of my father Isaac, Yahweh, who said to me, Return to your land and your relatives, and I do good to you. I do not deserve the least of all the loving commitment and all the truth which you have shown your servant, for I passed over this Yarden with my staff, and now I have become 2 groups. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and shall strike me and the mother with the children. For you said, I shall certainly do good to you, and shall make your seed as the sand of the sea, which are too numerous to count. And he spent the night there, and took what came to his hand as a present for Esau his brother, 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 suckling camels with their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 foals. And he gave unto the hand of his servants every drove by itself, and said this and said to his servants, Pass over before me, and put some distance between drove and drove. And he commanded the first one, saying, When Esau my brother meets you, and asks you, saying, To whom do you belong, and where are you going, and whose are these in front of you? Then you shall say, They are your servant Jacob's. It is a present sent to my master Esau, and see, he is also behind us. So he commanded the second and the third, and all who followed the droves, saying, Speak to Esau the same word when you find him. And you shall say also, Look, for your servant Jacob is behind us, for he let me appease him with the present that goes before me. And after that, see his face, he might accept me. And the presents passed over before him, but he himself spent the night in the camp. And he rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 female servants and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford of Jacob. And he took them and sent them over the stream, and sent them over what he had. And Jacob was the other one. It's really spelled very much similar. And Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. And Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. And when he saw that he did not overcome him, he touched the socket of his hip. And the socket of Jacob's hip was dislocated as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaks. But he said, I am not letting you go until you have blessed me. So he asked him, What is your name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Your name is no longer called Jacob, but Israel, because you have striven with Elohim, and with men have overcome. And Jacob asked him, saying, Please let me know your name. And he said, Why do you ask about my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen Elohim's face to face, and my life is preserved. And the sun rose on him as he passed over Peniel, and he limped on his hip. That is why the children of Israel to this day do not eat sinew of the hip, which is on the socket of the thigh, because he touched the socket of the thigh, and Jacob in the sinew of the hip. Sinew is a very useful cordage, in case you are unaware. It is used to bind things if cut in strips, because if you wrap it around something, it dries and clinches together. Survival lesson of the day. Let's see, how far are we into this? I will go with one more chapter. So it was an interesting thing that he was wrestling with what I believe would be Elohim, or the messenger of Elohim, because somewhere in the book, and I don't remember where right offhand, it says that no man can look upon the face of the Father because he would just instantly die. So who was he wrestling with? Any thoughts? Israel means to strive with El, to overcome with El, to rule with El. That is the little quote or caption down in the bottom about the meaning of the word. Alright, 33. And Jacob lifted his eyes and looked and saw Esau coming, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children among Leah and Rachel, and the 2 female servants. And he put the female servants and their children in front of Leah, and her children behind Rachel, and her children, and Leah and her children behind, and Rachel and Joseph last. So he's putting the servants and those children out front. Now, why do you think he was doing that? 3. And he himself passed over them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted his eyes and saw the woman and children, and said, Whose are these with you? And he said, The children with whom Elohim has favored your servant. Then the female servants came near, and they and their children, and bowed themselves. And Leah also came near with her children, and they bowed themselves. And Joseph and Rachel came near, and they bowed themselves. And Esau said, What do you mean by all this company which I met? And he said, To find favor in the eyes of my master. But Esau said, I have enough, my brother, let what you have remain yours. And Jacob said, No, please, if I have now found favor in your eyes, then receive my present from my hand, because I have seen your face like seeing the face of Elohim, and you were pleased with me. Please take my blessing that is brought to you, because Elohim has favored me, and because I have all I need. And he urged him, and he took it. And he said, Let us depart and go. Let me go before you. But he said to him, My master knows that the children are weak, and the flocks and the herds which are nursing are with me. And if the men should drive them hard one day, all the flocks shall die. Please let my master go before his servant, and let me lead on slowly according to the pace of the livestock that go before me, and according to the pace of the children, until I come to my master in Seir. And Esau said, Please let me leave with you some of the people who are with me. But he said, Why this? Let me find favor in the eyes of my master. And Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. And Jacob set out to Sukkot, and built himself a house, and made booths for his livestock. That is why the name of this place is called Sukkot. Sukkot. S-U-K-K-O-T. And Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram, and he pitched his tent before the city. And he brought the portion of the field where he had pitched his tent. He bought the portion of the field where he had pitched his tent from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 bucks. Not exactly. It's Qesitah. I'm not even going to try it. And he set up a slaughter place there and called it El Elor, Israel. They had an interesting language. I should probably attempt to learn it. So, Jacob was afraid of his brother because of what had happened previous with the deception with the blessing, and even prior to that, he was basically sold his birthright. Esau sold his birthright under duress, I guess you could say, for a cup of lentils, I believe it was, or a bowl of lentils. So yeah, he was afraid that his brother was coming to kill him. Obviously, his brother was either softened by the gifts or wasn't actually intending to kill him to begin with. Maybe his brother actually thought, with all the people traveling with Jacob, that might have been the opposite, that Jacob was coming to harm him. So that could have been the reason for the 400. That's my guess anyway, so don't quote me. Question everything. Alright, this has been my Bible study or Bible reading for the Sabbath. I wish everyone a happy Hanukkah, which I believe was almost over, or was yesterday the last day. I can't remember exactly when the last day was. And a Merry Christmas if you are celebrating those holidays. I wish everyone well. I know I will be back here. I'm going to try to check the date here. For the next Sabbath, actually is the evening of the 25th. So that is Christmas Day, and I will be reading that evening as well. So thank you for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed, and please say a prayer for not only myself, but for yourselves, all of your families, and this whole nation, because we all need prayer. Thank you. See you next time.